a world saturated with instant communication, where a connection is accessible with a single tap, the protracted absence of a call or message from someone important to us becomes a deafening noise. When days give way to weeks, and the calendar flips without a word from a person you used to rely on, the natural human reaction is to spiral into self-doubt. Did I offend them? Have they forgotten me? Am I simply not important anymore? This pervasive quiet, the echo of absence, is not merely the result of forgetting. It is a communication in its own right. It is a signal, often painful, that we must learn to decipher not with anxiety, but with clear-headed wisdom. Today, we will begin to unveil the three fundamental truths hidden within prolonged silence, transforming your perspective from fearful anticipation to confident self-respect. This first truth is often the most difficult to swallow, yet it is the most liberating when fully accepted. When someone consistently fails to reach out, it is a non-verbal declaration that you are not currently their emotional priority. The modern narrative often blames busyness. We tell ourselves they must be overwhelmed with work, family demands, or personal crises. While these factors are real, they rarely account for complete silence over an extended period. Consider this psychological reality. Time is elastic when motivation is high. When a person genuinely values you, they intuitively find the energy and the few minutes necessary to maintain the connection. A quick message, thinking of you, crazy week, a brief voice note, or a call during a commute. These small acts demonstrate commitment. They carve out space for you within their chaos. The profound psychological principle at play is emotional investment theory. People naturally gravitate toward activities, people, and sources that provide them with a high emotional reward: joy, comfort, validation, excitement. If a connection with you offers this reward, the individual's brain will be motivated to return to that source. If weeks turn into months of silence, it may not be a lack of time. It is a signal that the emotional reward they currently seek does not reside in connecting with you. Neglect, in the context of a relationship, is almost never an accident. It is an active or passive choice that defines the relationship's current status. The pain of this realization, that you are not a top priority, is the initial sting of a needle that inoculates you against further suffering. By accepting this truth, you gain the power to redirect your energy. You are no longer tethered to your device, constantly checking for a notification that may never arrive. You shift your focus from chasing someone's silence to honoring your own inherent worth and investing your time and emotions into people who actively demonstrate your value. Do not chase the echo. Redirect your steps toward where the light is shining. But what if the silence isn't about you at all? Next, we explore the silent struggle, the truth that turns rejection into a cry for help. Not every stretch of quiet is a judgment or a rejection of you. It is vital to recognize that sometimes, the vacuum of communication is simply a byproduct of an immense struggle occurring within the other person's private world. Silence can be a deep cry for help disguised as distance. The burdens people carry are often invisible. They may be battling paralyzing depression that makes even the smallest social effort feel like a monumental task. They might be wrestling with crippling anxiety, financial distress, or severe familial turmoil that consumes all their cognitive and emotional resources. In these scenarios, the person is not withholding from you. They are withdrawing from the world entirely. This behavior aligns with the psychological concept of avoidant coping mechanisms. Rather than reaching out for crucial social support during times of crisis, which requires vulnerability and energy they may not possess, they instinctively retreat and isolate themselves. They disappear not because you don't matter, but because they are currently drowning and don't know how to surface long enough to reach for a lifeline. When confronted with this kind of long-term disappearance, engage in compassionate inquiry instead of personalization. Has this person recently undergone a major life change or known hardship? Is their silence dramatically different from their usual, established pattern of communication? Are they typically a person who suffers or processes difficulty privately? If the answer is yes, their distance is a reflection of their inner darkness, not a statement about your relationship's importance. Your role in this scenario is complex. While you cannot be their mandatory rescuer, Only they can choose to climb out of the shadows. You can extend the grace of unconditional presence. A brief non-demanding message like, "Hey, I haven't heard from you and I wanted to check in. I hope you're doing okay. No need to respond, but know I'm thinking of you," can be a powerful anchor. However, a crucial boundary must be maintained. Do not sacrifice your mental peace trying to save someone who has not asked to be saved. Your primary responsibility remains your own well-being. Hold space for their return. Ensure your presence is warm and welcoming if they choose to re-engage, but do not chase them into the deep end of their struggle. Recognize their silence as a temporary wall they have built around themselves, not a final barrier you are expected to demolish. There is a final fundamental truth that requires the most mature acceptance. Sometimes, silence signifies the natural, inevitable conclusion of a relationship's life cycle. Not every connection is destined to become a permanent fixture in your life. Some people are only meant to enter your journey for a season, a period of intense friendship, a necessary lesson, a brief spark of love. When their intended role is fulfilled, they begin to drift away. Though the memory of their frequent messages and late-night calls makes the current emptiness painful, this silence is not an act of malice. It is closure delivered without ceremony. The renowned psychoanalyst Carl Jung spoke of the transformative power of human interaction, suggesting that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. The transformation may have been the entire purpose of the connection. Once the catalyst has done its work, it may naturally exit the equation. To cling desperately to someone who has already emotionally let go is an act of self-imprisonment. It is like attempting to secure a handful of water. The harder you try to grasp it, the faster it slips away, leaving your hand empty. This final silence is an invitation to radical acceptance. Learn to release the connection because, in this specific case, silence is the universe's way of clearing the stage. You know the three truths. But what is the final practical wisdom on how to respond to silence without losing your dignity, and why does silence actually clear the path for better connections? Knowing the three truths, priority, struggle, and conclusion, empowers you to move beyond the ache of anticipation. The crucial final step is to determine the appropriate response, one that is rooted in self-respect and maturity. If the silence is a priority statement, this is the time to activate your dignity. Stop initiating contact. Do not send desperate checking-in messages or follow-up texts. Redirect the time and emotional energy you would have spent waiting for them toward people who actively seek your company. Let go gracefully, allowing your actions, or lack thereof, to mirror their own. Your value is non-negotiable and does not depend on their fleeting attention. If the silence is an inner struggle, maintain compassionate distance. Send a single kind, non-demanding message, and then step back. Recognize that you are not a professional therapist, and you cannot force healing. Hold the space open, but prioritize your own well-being. Be a supportive presence, but enforce healthy personal boundaries so their pain does not become your consuming anxiety. If the silence is the end of the chapter, embrace acceptance. View the silence not as a rejection, but as a completion. Trust in the natural cycles of life where every ending automatically makes room for a new beginning. Acknowledge the positive transformation the relationship brought, offer silent gratitude for the lesson learned, and then fully turn your attention toward your future. The most profound message in this entire discussion is this: never, under any circumstance, allow another person's silence to silence your own self-worth. Your fundamental value is an internal stable constant. It does not diminish because someone forgets to call you. Your intrinsic beauty and intelligence do not fade simply because someone chooses to stop noticing them. Your power and presence do not weaken just because a person decides to walk out of your life. The universe operates with an interesting mechanism. When one door is closed by neglect or fading interest, it is often simply clearing the path for something better. Sometimes, the initial silence is the necessary prelude to the introduction of voices that were always meant to stay, of love that is consistent, and of connection that does not inexplicably grow cold. So the next time you find yourself staring at an empty chat window, do not fall into the trap of self-blame or frantic begging. Instead, remember these three truths. Hold your head high, protect your emotional energy, and walk confidently forward. The silence you are experiencing is not a punishment, it is an answer, and it is a gift that frees you to connect with those who will consistently and enthusiastically reach for you. If this message helped you reframe the way you view silence in your life, consider sharing this wisdom and subscribing for more insights that empower your personal relationships.